Have you ever gone to the doctor, you did some blood work, and they said, oh, everything's fine, but you feel like absolute crap? This happens so many times, and I hear these types of stories every single week, which is very frustrating. So, welcome back for another episode on the Lizzie Show. Today, I'm going to be diving into allopathic blood work versus functional blood work, what the differences are, and what you should know, and the steps that you should be taking. And unfortunately, where we're at in the medical industry now. Now, before I, continue on in this, there's a disclaimer that I want to give you guys here. Western medicine has its purpose, and it is there for a reason, and it does save a lot of people's lives. Unfortunately, it is also leaving a lot of people very, very sick and dependent on medication, not getting to the root of things, not getting people the answers that they're needing. And a lot of this is connected to the entire system, the medical system. It's broken. Doctors are connected to the insurance companies, and really, truthfully, insurance companies control more of this than most people know. I had a conversation with someone last year that used to work for a very, very big insurance company for many years. I'm talking 30 years. And I picked his brain. I asked him a whole bunch of questions about the insurance industry and how it's structured and what they're doing. And I gave him my viewpoint on what I see and on what I feel is happening in terms of the insurance companies really controlling what people can and can't do. So if you have regular insurance, the way that I see it is they really control what kind of help you can get because they control whether or not they cover certain tests and procedures, and they determine whether or not you qualify for that, but they've never talked to you in person. They don't know who you are. They don't know how sick you are. They don't know your symptoms. It's based on the book, on what kind of symptoms are the doctors charting down or the nurses charting down that is going on with that patient. Then the insurance company makes a decision whether or not that person qualifies for those types of testings. And so I brought that to his attention. I was like, is this true? Because that's how I see it. And he goes, you are absolutely correct. This is true. And the insurance company is kind of like a monopoly. They control so much of the healthcare system. That is also why I haven't had regular insurance for many years. Like I'm talking probably like 10 years or so. Because I looked at the cost of what it would cost me per month for premium, out-of-pocket pay, what I'm paying, how much it would cost me to have that for my kid and myself. And then I looked at, co-pays and all that. I'm like, it's not worth it. It was so much money for so little coverage, and it just wasn't worth it for me. I mean, I get it if you have a company that is paying for it. I truly get it. And so what I ended up doing, and this is not an app, by the way, but what I ended up doing is going with a company that is a type of company that you pay a monthly premium. It's much less than like regular insurance. And the way that they do it is they cover a certain amount per incident. And then, no, you cover a certain amount per incident, and then they cover the rest. And the way that I have that is that it still is for catastrophic things. So that's the main thing, is it is for catastrophic things. So God forbid something bad would happen and I would end up, me or my kid would end up in the hospital, and all of a sudden, we're racking up hundreds and thousands of dollars in medical bills. That's covered. And so when I looked at the cost of regular insurance and this, and how much I would be putting into regular insurance and not even being able to see the doctors that I want to see and get the things done that I want to see or do, then it just wasn't worth it for me. And so I went this route, and what it allowed me to do is the way that I do it is if I go see a doctor, I'm paying out of pocket for it up to a certain amount. But that out of pocket pay that I have is way cheaper than what I would be paying for the premium and the copay. So for me, it was worth it. Some people aren't comfortable with that, and they're like, no, I like the security of the insurance there in case something happens. I have the security because I do have it for catastrophic. But I like to tell you guys these things to kind of rethink how you're approaching these things, because regular insurance, it is a monopoly and it is very controlling. And the amount of times that I talk to people that are like, well, I want to get this type of testing done, but my doctor won't test it. And there's two reasons why this can happen. Number one is that they know that the insurance company won't cover it. So now all of a sudden you're paying a lot of money out of pocket in order to get the testing done that you want. The second reason that a doctor may not be ordering it is they literally just don't know what needs to be tested in order to look further, to get underneath the surface and get to the root cause of things. Or even if they would come back as a positive or a diagnosis of something, because the general doctors don't really know what to do with it. Remember, they are taught to run certain labs. It's more of a one lens view type of thing. Not all, but many. And they're taught to look for diagnosis. And if you don't end up in the diagnostic state where they can prescribe a medication, they don't really know how to help you. They're not taught this. I've talked to so many people that, went to med school or are nurses, RNs, nurse practitioners, and they will literally tell me how little education they have in terms of food and vitamins and minerals. And in fact, many doctors are afraid of regular vitamins and minerals, but our body runs and needs vitamins and minerals. The amount of people that are deficient in vitamins and minerals, and it is those things that are leading to these health issues. And if the right testing were done and you were given the right types of vitamins and minerals to bring those levels up to where they need, you would be fine. You wouldn't be where you're at. Vitamin A, B, C, D, E, F, which is your omega-3 fatty acids, and K. Those are your essential vitamins and minerals that your body needs on a day-to-day basis. And if you are deficient in these types of things, then we got a problem, and that's where it can lead. So remember, your body is always seeking for the path of the least resistance. So when I was in personal training school, I learned this. Your body is always seeking the path of least resistance. And what that means is, let's say you have an imbalance in something, it's always going to be going for the path that is the least resistant in wherever it needs to pull from. In functional school, when I went to functional school, we learned that the body is always trying to get you into the homeostasis state. So it's going to pull wherever it needs to pull from in order to get you into a homeostasis state. But if you are deficient in these types of things, it can't do that. So it means it's always trying to grab from somewhere to try to get you there. But if you have hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, high cortisol levels, your hormones are off, gut is off, you have gut imbalances, dysbiosis, high candida levels, parasites, heavy metals, bacteria, and viral things and stuff like that going on, no wonder your body can't function. And so that is the big difference between allopathic and functional. When you go to a regular doctor and let's just say you have hypothyroidism, what do you think they're going to do? The first thing they're going to say is, well, here's the prescription for the medication. And a lot of times it's a levothyroxine, which isn't great because it's only focusing on the one. It's not a T3, T4 combo. It's only T4. Unless it's a compound one, then that's a little bit different. But compound means that it's compounded in a certain way to have both, whatever it is that your doctor, makes that compound pharmacy do in the prescription. However, most Western medicine doctors are not going to use a compound pharmacy. They're going to go with the regular one. Also, levothyroxine is full of dyes, food dyes. And if you have hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's, you are very sensitive, typically very sensitive to those types of things. And that's why some people don't respond well to that. But remember, it's how your body metabolizes things as well. So some people don't do well on Armour. Some people don't do well on Synthroid. It's really about finding like what works best for you. But what I will tell you straight up is you can't just go on thyroid medication and expect it to fix everything. It's much, much deeper than that. It's all the things that I already mentioned, which is vitamin and mineral deficiencies. It's, are you exposed to other things like parasites, heavy metals, bacteria, and all of that stuff? Those can be root cause issues. And until you get rid of those things, it's just not going to happen. Matter of fact, before I continue on here, I want to invite you guys over. I'm going to put this in the show notes. But on June 16th, which is this coming Monday, I am launching my next 12-week high-end group coaching program. Now, I capped this at 10 people. So only 10 people can get in. And I just opened up the application form yesterday and I already have spots filled. So people are grabbing these spots. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about this. And the reason I want to share about this blood work is because this is what we do in this 12-week program. This is high-end coaching and in-depth coaching. And this is for the people that are so sick and tired of not getting answers and feeling like crap all the time. And they really want to get down to the root problem of what it is. Now, what I will tell you is you got to qualify for it. And I'm not saying that in terms of I wouldn't want people in there or anything like that. I'm saying this because this is an investment. It's an investment in yourself. You're investing in yourself and in your health. And this is a high touch, high transformation program. So for 12 weeks, we're going to run your blood work in the beginning of the 12-week program. We're going to run your blood work towards the end of the 12-week program. And the way that we do this is we run functional labs and we're going to test for your vitamins and minerals, your thyroid, your cortisol, whatever is needed. It's individual. Like some stuff doesn't need to be tested for some people and it does need to be tested for other people. It depends on your symptoms and what's going on. Are you sleeping? Are you not sleeping? Like what is happening? So it's still individual on that. But getting that blood work done the way that I do is what really is the catalyst to 10x your progress here. This is, like I said, high touch, high transformation. So if you are someone that is ready to invest in yourself and you're like, heck yeah, this is what I need. I'm sick and tired of being where I'm at and I'm ready and willing to commit to something like this that is going to 10x my progress and get me feeling better faster, then this is for you. But you got to apply for it. And the application is going to be in the show notes. You're going to grab that application, fill it out, and within 24 hours, I will get back to you on whether or not this is a good fit for you. And then we hop on a call and we walk through the next steps from there. So if this is something that you are looking for and you're ready to really transform this year and this summer, then go fill out the application and then I'll be in touch. So let's continue on talking about, blood work. So I already explained a little bit like why things happen the way that they do. Number one, we know like insurance is a big piece of it. So I can't tell you the amount of times that people, tell me like, well, I want to do this, but, my insurance will cover it. I get it. When you work with me, you don't even have to worry about insurance. It's all packaged into my packages. So we make it seamless and easy, which is really, really important. I want to make it as stress-free as possible. So when you're doing blood work with me, that is factored into my coaching packages. So just know that you're not going to spend thousands of dollars on the side for blood work. It's already in the package. And the way that I do that is I can get it at a better price than if you were to try to go and pay out of pocket at the doctors. They would charge you way more for an out-of-pocket pay on these things. So there are affordable ways to do it. So why is it important to check all these other things other than just basic ones? Well, first of all, if you're going to the doctor and they're not in there, let's just say, for example, they're testing TSH and T4 for your thyroid, but not T3 and reverse T3, and your TPO and TGA and body antibodies, that's the perfect example of not having enough. But let me tell you the next thing. Your cortisol is connected to your thyroid and it's connected to your other hormones like DHEA, your testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and your adrenals, that's all connected there. And then those things can be connected to your thyroid as well. So your cortisol can be connected to your thyroid and your adrenals as well. Now let me take it to the next step. And this is where connecting the dots here. Okay. So your lipid panel, which is your cholesterol, is very much connected to autoimmune and your thyroid as well. It's connected to other things as well, like inflammation, but it is very common for people with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's to have their cholesterol levels be off, specifically LDL, when it comes to the thyroid. Now, the thing to know is HDL is what they consider the good cholesterol. Cholesterol really isn't something to be scared of, okay? Cholesterol is literally a signal that something is off in your body. So if you have cholesterol that is really elevated, yes, there are certain things that you want to be looking out for, like, clogged arteries and strokes and stuff like that that can lead to that. But it's more than that. Cholesterol is also a protector of your brain. So let's say you have high parasite levels or high heavy metals and stuff like that. Your cholesterol's job is actually to protect your brain, to prevent these things from crossing the blood-brain barrier and going into your brain and killing you. That literally is cholesterol's job. Cholesterol's job is also to signal that there is inflammation in the body. So cholesterol is not the problem. Inflammation is the problem. Let's say, for example, you eat out all the time and you're exposed to seed oils all the time. Those seed oils are going to create inflammation on a cellular level, which will make your LDL and your triglycerides go up. It will also make your A1C go up. So I recently had this conversation with a naturopath and we were talking about A1C and why some people have elevated A1C for a long time, not diabetic, but almost pre-diabetic, and it's just not coming down. Why is it that it's not coming down even though they're doing all the right things in terms of sleep, exercise, food, they're eating really healthy and all that? And one of the things that she told me is she said, seed oils cause inflammation, which I knew this, but I didn't realize how long they stay in your cells. She says seed oils can stay in your cells for up to 4 years. Even after you stop eating them for that long period of time, it can stay in your cells on a cellular level in there for up to 4 years. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so we're seeing that that is a lot of times the reason that A1C can stay elevated for a period of time, even though you're eating really well and exercising and doing the things that you should be doing. However, remember that this is also inflammation. So I believe that even though that's kind of the stats and what we're seeing, I also believe that there are things that you can do to get those things down and get things out from a cellular level quicker than just the 4 years. I'll give you an example. One of the things that is actually really, really helpful to decrease inflammation in the body and allow your body to heal on a cellular level is fasting. Now, fasting is not for everybody, but what I will tell you is I've done fasting over the last few years off and on. Nothing crazy in terms of like reoccurring over, every month or anything like that. I think that's a little obsessive. But what I did 2 years ago, for the first time, I did a 72-hour water fast and I felt amazing. I had amazing results, loved it. And then after that, a few times I would do a 48-hour water fast. But what I started to notice is that it was really affecting my cortisol and my thyroid for some reason. Now, it doesn't do this for everybody, but for some reason, that's what was happening for me. I also traveled a lot last year, so my fight flight state wasn't in the best place. And so I stopped doing that. Now, just recently, a couple weeks ago, all of a sudden one day, just really randomly one day, although I don't really believe that it was random because sometimes it's just your gut and your intuition telling you. I just didn't plan for it, but it just happened where my gut was like, you need to go on a 72-hour fast. And I had been having like a lot of inflammation. I eat really healthy and I wasn't eating out much at all, but I had been having this like crazy inflammation in my right ear. Last year I busted my eardrum and I could tell it like sometimes would flare back up. And I'm like, why is this flaring back up? But it was connected to my neck and my shoulder and my mid back. And I was doing some PT and it was, getting better. But I always know like PT can help, but there's also always a deeper root issue going on. What is missing? What is causing this inflammation in the body? It wasn't that I was hurt or anything like that. It was just inflammation, annoying inflammation, but it was deep. I could tell it was deep. And I went on the 72-hour fast, and I'm not kidding you guys. So the way that I did the fast this time is I didn't do water. Now, some people are like, that was not a fast. Yes, it was. a fast because the way that I did it is I would drink coffee and it's called bulletproof coffee. And what you do is you just do coffee and then you do grass-fed butter and MCT oil. And those are really, really good fats. And those fats supported my cortisol and insulin levels while I was doing this. And they helped me with brain support and sleep while I was doing it. It does not break your fast. When you do fats like that, it doesn't break your fast. And so that's what I did. And then I would drink salt water because you want to really make sure that you're hydrated. In the first day by evening, almost all of my tightness and pain and inflammation that I had been feeling on my right hand side for a long time, I couldn't even feel it anymore. And I was like turning my neck and I was like, wow, I can like turn my neck for the first time and it's not hurting. The pain in my ear that was generating down into my shoulder, that was going down and I could feel it ease up. And so I did things to support that and I slept really, really well. And so I did that for 72 hours. And I, for the first time, like started tracking my ketosis because I had never really tracked my ketosis and I was really curious. You can tell when you go on a fast, when your mouth saliva starts to taste different, you know that you're going into ketosis. But I wanted to test it this time, so I did. And it was really awesome and fun to test it because I'm a nerd like that. And I've never done like a ketogenic diet or anything like that, but I wanted to test to see how I do. And I was surprised how quickly I went into ketosis. So I did that for 72 hours and then I slowly got myself off of it. Now I've primarily been eating protein and fats with moderate carbs since, not a whole lot of carbs. I'm not keto because I'm eating more carbs than what a keto diet. A keto diet is like, 25 grams or less of carbs a day. So I need to go back to checking my ketones again to see like where I'm at with that. And it's been such a fun transition for me. And so the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I have noticed that my inflammation has stayed down, which tells me that within those 72 hours of me fasting, it allowed my body to go into ketosis and go into a healing state on a cellular level and work on healing the inflammation and things on a cellular level. And occasionally I'll feel a little bit of tightness, but in general, like I'll probably do another one like in the next month or so because I want to see if it continues. But for the most part, it's been feeling really, really good. And also fasting, let's just say, for example, like someone has an ulcer, one of the fastest ways to heal an ulcer is fasting. So think about it. If you have an ulcer and you're constantly putting food in your stomach, it doesn't have time to heal. So what you do is you starve the ulcer by only drinking water. And that is one of the fastest ways to heal an ulcer. Fasting can be very, very powerful. Now, fasting is not something that I go to my clients and I say, hey, you have to do a fast. It is not for everyone. And I always tell people that if they're going to do it, start with 24 hours first and see how you feel. I will tell you this. You're going to have to remember that it is mind over matter as well. You get to a place eventually you can be around food and you're not it doesn't even bother you because you also start feeling better. Now you'll be hungry, I'm not gonna lie, but if you remember what your goal is and why you're doing it, then it's much easier. But also I just want to tell you, like, if you're going to do it, there are, remember where you're at. Is your body in a place medically to support it? Are you working with a professional? I always tell people if you've never done it, you don't go in blind. You shouldn't do it professional or do it without some professional help because you want to be safe. Okay. When you transition off of that phase, that transition part is really, really important. Okay. You don't want to just go back to like eating whatever you want or what you were eating before and eating high carb and stuff like that. You're really gonna cause some issues with your insulin and glucose and you'll probably eat and crash and go to sleep. So you want to do a slow, I really like to do a slow intro with like bone broth because it has collagen and protein and it's a liquid. So I usually do an intro with that and then I do like lighter proteins and fats. My transition off of it this time was so cool because I primarily did bone broth and then I would do eggs with avocados and then I would do sardines with avocados and some goat cheese and stuff like that. And I did really, really well and I've been loving it. So I just wanted to share that part that there are so many things that you can do. Now, back to blood work. These are tools and things that I'm talking about that can be helpful. But again, I just want to tell you, like, make sure that you're doing it smart. Like, a lot of people go in blind without truly knowing how to go about it. And that's where damage can happen. So if you're going to do something like this, make sure you do it smart and educated so that you're not causing more damage. Now, I want to tell a little bit of a story of a client of mine that I worked with last year. And this ties back to allopathic medicine and functional medicine. So when she came to me, and I know I've shared this story before, but I'm going to share it again. When she came to me, she was so sick. So, so sick. She was in a wheelchair. She could barely walk. She couldn't eat much. Type 1 diabetes. And she had, over the course of 20 years, been doing all kinds of testing. Spent over $80,000 and went bankrupt trying to do testing and working with doctors over the course of 20 years trying to figure out what is wrong. And she came to me and one of our first conversations, I just looked at her and I'm like, well, what kind of testing have they done? So she's telling me all this stuff, and she's like, every time they're like, there's nothing we can do. We can't find anything. Your type 1 diabetes, your liver is near failing, your heart enzymes are elevated, your kidneys are almost shutting down, and basically you're gonna die. That's it. Like, that's basically what they told her. Like, there was no hope, and she was gonna die, and that was it. And when I started working with her, I said, well, they're looking at all the wrong things in all the wrong places. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, they're not looking at the right places. There's other things going on. And they're not, and no matter how much more testing you do, they're not going to find the answers because they don't know where to look. So we started working together. And I'm not kidding you guys. Within the first week of us starting to work together, she started feeling better. And for the first time, within the first 2 weeks, for the first time in 15 years, she was able to get up in the morning and she wasn't nauseous. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So we worked together and we completely changed her diet. And she thought she was already eating healthy, but she wasn't. And that's okay because we don't know what we don't know, right? So we completely changed all of those things. We got her on some vitamins and minerals, and we just continued to work together. And let me tell you this, you guys. She recently did blood work again through her doctor because both her endocrinologist and her regular doctor were just like mind blown. Like, so mind blown. They're like, we need to talk to Lizzie. Like, what the heck is she doing? Because this stuff is working. They're just like mind blown. And which is very rewarding on my end, but like she put the work in. Recently, she did blood work again. And remember how I said like her liver and kidneys were near failing and her heart enzymes were really elevated? Well, guess what? All of those levels are gorgeous now. Gorgeous. Within range, absolutely phenomenal. It is mind blowing what happens when you do the right testing and then take the right steps and protocols. She thought she was going to die. And a year ago, she was in a wheelchair. And just in the last month or two, I believe, her and her husband went on vacation somewhere and before was in a wheelchair and she couldn't go on a beach, put her feet in the sand or anything like that. Guess what she was doing this time around? She was not in a wheelchair and she was walking 5 to 6 miles a day on the beach with her feet in the sand. Are you kidding me? Like insane. And then they went to the mountains and she was like doing hiking, like 3 mile hikes and stuff in the mountains. I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, this is insane. A year and a half ago, you thought you were gonna die. And now look at you. Look at what you're doing and where you're going, and you got your life back. In the first 6 months that we were working together, she has a son and he had this like big promotion and stuff, and she was able to go to this promotion And she's like, Lizzie, I've never been able to go to any of my son's events because I was too sick. I was wheelchair bound and I was too sick. I couldn't go. And now, like, she can do all these things. And so the reason I share that is because I want you to know to not give up. Okay? So if you are in that place of being stuck and like nobody's listening to you, maybe they're making you feel like you're crazy in your head. Maybe they're telling you it's all in your head. Maybe they're telling you all you need to do is lose weight and eat healthy or eat some salads. Salads are probably, the worst thing. By the way, if you believe that you need to eat salads to lose weight, I'm going to tell you right now, that's wrong. A lot of times it actually makes things worse. So I'm giving you to go ahead right now to know, believe, and understand that you don't have to eat salads. I rarely eat salads, and the reason for it, not because I have anything, against people that want to do it, but the raw ingredients are, especially the stuff from the store, it's just low quality stuff. It's much harder for your body to digest and absorb those things. And a lot of times it will just cause more issues. So why are you bloated after you eat a salad? Because your body's not breaking down the raw stuff. So I share all these things to give you guys a different perspective and know and understand that if your doctor says, well, this is it, this is just the way life is, this is what you're stuck with, you're going to be miserable, you're just getting old, it's just part of life, your hormones are changing. Can't tell you how many times I've heard that. You're like, your hormones are changing, there's nothing we can do about it. Lies. Lies. It's not true. You can always do something about it. And if you believe you can't, just know that you're in a victim mindset. If you believe that you can't do anything about it and your answer is, well, that's just the way it is and that's who I am, that's what it is, you're in a victim mindset. Straight up. That's what I'm telling you right now. And so if someone says to me, oh, well, that's just the way it is. I'm getting old. I'm sick. I have this. That's your identity and belief system. And I want you to think about the story that I just told you with a client of mine and why I so strongly am against that. So if you believe it, that's up to you. But just know that that is victim mentality and you're settling and you're believing that that's all that life ever has to offer. And that's just not the case. Okay? So thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Wanted to share that. And if you like and love these episodes, please comment on them. If you're on YouTube, please comment and let me know like what part stood out and what you loved about it. If you're on Apple or Spotify, please go review and rate the show. It really helps bump the show up so that more listeners get reached. And then also if you're on social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, and you're listening to these episodes and you really love them, please share them and tag me. I love knowing and hearing when people are listening to it, and share it with your friends and family, because the more people that hear these things that are in a place of being stuck and just not understanding what to do next, they need to hear these things. So let's give them some hope and share. Sharing is caring. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning into the Lizzie Young Show. If you're ready to take the next step to transforming your health and life, visit www.undietyou.com for all my resources and to book your consultation today. Don't forget to subscribe and join me each week for more tips, inspiration, and conversations with phenomenal guests to help you feel your best. See you guys next week.